Co-create 100%. All right. Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I'm your host, Ralitza Spesova, and today we have a very special guest, a soul sister of mine, undoubtedly. We had one 20-minute conversation to prepare for this on the weekend, and I am so grateful. I'm so excited. I am just so heart open and I'm landing in my body feeling so safe, so protected, and so, um, yeah, inspired by you, Lori. Welcome, Lori Emslie, to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I'm so much is coming through. I'm so excited to co-create this space with you. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Ralitza, thank you so much for having me on your show, on your podcast. I am absolutely honored and very excited. Like you said, that 20 minutes of conversation while I was driving, and obviously it was breaking up for the service, but you just know, right? When you just like, okay, boom, this is like going to happen, and this feels so right. So same things coming in for you. I feel them deeply inside myself as well, and to be able to share my story. And I just want to thank you for holding that space for me right now too, because it's pretty cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, it's such an honor to have you on the podcast. And I know that we have, so many women have come from this place of really chaos, right? And we don't have a lot of guidance and support and wisdom, and we don't have the spirit tribe and the community and the circles that, we were actually meant to grow up in. And so to kind of, and it's 11:11 right now. So perfect. You can't make this stuff up. Um, but the title of the podcast is Forged from Chaos, Reclaiming the High Woman. And Lori, I'm so grateful that you're willing to share your story and vulnerability, because I know that there are so many women that find themselves, whether, silently, quietly, without anybody knowing, or, have already started to share and reclaim their journey and really share where they're at. But, I always say vulnerability is the divine union partner of authenticity. And without that vulnerability, it's difficult for us to connect. And so I have a really strong feeling that whoever is called to listen to this is going to be, kind of chiseled wide open. Because I know that you are also ready to share your story. I know that, becoming a speaker and being on stages and sharing this journey is such a calling for you. And I really want to honor that, because I can already feel and see so much transformation, just in you sharing your journey, and how many people are going to resonate so deeply with this. So I just thank you so much for being here and for opening up your heart so that we can all live more authentically.
Well, and you said it, right? And that's just it. Until we are able to kind of crack the code within us and look at all of it, and not just the pretty pieces, and not just we have to look at the dark, the shadow work as well, to be able to bring our light to the surface. And I grew up in a very dark, dark childhood, continuous looping,
Mhm.
in that darkness, right? But with
Mhm.
this something inside of me that just knew there was more. There was something that kept me going all the time. And I'm able to look back now, like I've been through a radical spiritual journey in the last 4 years. I think a lot of people have, since the whatever we call it took place. I don't even want to put it
Mhm.
out there, and I think we we have to remember um, that all the things that we've experienced, especially as women, right? Because we've gone through a lot, generationally, a lot of patriarchy. Um, Everything happened for us and not to us. And as soon as I
Mhm.
realized that and tapped into that and went, oh my gosh, this is all interconnected. When I went and did the deep work, um, did the shadow work, I was like, wow, this is all happening for us and not to us, no matter what it
Mhm.
was. Even with the,
Mhm.
the pandemic, we can look
Mhm.
at that, and how our perspective can look at it and go, wow, this is horrible, this is that, this is this. And we can either feel like victims because that's a choice, or we
Mhm.
can go, you know what? How can I adjust my sails and transform this and find the gold in all of it? And that's what I've
Mhm.
done, literally, is find the gold in all of the events in my life
Mhm.
and really try to move from out of the generational, let's just say even the women in my life, right? Like my who raised me, right? A lot of victimhood, right? There's a lot of victimhood that we are claiming. And is that really ours to claim?
Absolutely. And you know what? The victimhood is it's such an energetic sinkhole. I talk about frequency all the time, and we don't really consider what an impact that has
Yeah, yeah,
of claiming that version. And it's almost glorified,
yeah.
as women to be in that
It's become a
victimhood and to
thing.
be
It's become
poor
a thing.
me. Yeah, poor
Yeah,
me. Or I'm now going to become a broad burning feminist. I don't need a man. I don't need anyone. Look at me. And it's like there honestly, I've been there. There's no strength in
no,
doing it all alone. It is
you're still giving
exhausting.
your power away, right? You're still giving
Exactly.
your power away.
In the worst
And
way.
in the worst way. And I know because I walked that path as well.
Yeah.
And the women who raised me have walked that path.
Mm,
And when I stopped in and on my spiritual journey and remembered my wholeness, I remembered my
mm,
divinity, I remembered my power because I knew it was inside of me all the time.
mm,
But I was
mhm,
just like choosing to be poor. Oh, this happened to me. This happened to me. And you
mhm.
create a freaking story
Yeah.
and you start to believe that story that this happened to you.
Yes.
But what if it's
Yes.
happening for you
Mhm,
to shift you into a higher consciousness, a higher understanding, a remembrance, but
mhm,
you're not getting it. And you keep
mhm,
looping and keep attracting those people in your life, right? For me,
mhm,
I have to say the last relationship that I'm still moving out of,
mhm,
the final stages of that was probably the hardest relationship I've ever had in my life, but one of the greatest,
mhm,
one of the greatest gifts. And I honestly believe the masculine is also playing and doing their role and
mhm,
doing their calling,
mhm.
even if we feel it's negative. And I'm gonna call out this word narcissistic.
Yes. The labeling,
Narcissism,
right? Yes.
labeling everywhere. It doesn't
Yes.
matter. And
Yes.
we've got a movement that's happening of women going, he's a narcissist. He's a
That's right.
narcissist. I know I did it myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you look at what a narcissist is,
Yeah.
we've all brought that energy somewhere, somehow into our reality at some
Mhm,
point. And it's
mhm,
a low
mhm,
self-esteem,
mhm,
right? It's a
mhm,
clinging, it's an attachment,
mhm,
uh, and I want to call it out. And what I
mhm,
want women to get from this podcast and
mhm,
from my messaging and my wisdom is we are so always seeking something outside of us, whether it's a
mhm.
relationship, a man. I grew up without any safety in my life from a very, very young age. And I was
Mhm.
born into that for a reason. For a
Yes.
reason,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Not by chance.
Yeah.
And the minute I realized that, and I'm going to say this for all the women out there that are now going, he's a narcissist, or men who are saying she's a narcissist, I knew, my body knew the beginning of that relationship that it was not safe for me.
Yes.
All the signs were there. I knew. I
Mhm.
tried to leave it. I tried to end it. I knew it wasn't safe for me,
Yeah.
but I chose to stay in it.
That's right. And that's where your power comes back to you when
Yeah.
you can say, I'm aware. My intuition's telling me run like the wind in the opposite direction, but something in my soul knows that there's something here. And, it's one of those things when you have the perspective of my soul has a mission and a journey in this lifetime. And when
Yeah.
you kind of zoom out from our human experience on the day by day, I know you talk about the 3D and shifting into the 5D. And for the listeners who aren't, kind of aware of that kind of um, that kind of terminology. It's really going from our day-to-day experiences and being able to actually recognize that the commitments that we make and the life that we choose, it can be either soul aligned or very much kind of in that zombie mode, in that haze of the day for day happenings, focus on material things that don't actually really matter or make us feel fulfilled, or they're not really soul guided. And so I think, Lori, the work that you do, and I just want to bring it back for a second because I can hear so much noise in the collective right now. So many people
Yeah, yeah,
kind of disagreeing from this perspective because they're committed to their victimhood, because that is what society teaches us. And that is part of the entrapment, unfortunately,
yeah.
to
The
actually
division.
make us feel like victims. Because when you're a
Yeah,
victim, you're disempowered and you are subject to and available to a lot of that manipulation. And so when you are a victim, you become that codependent, right? The codependent attracts the narcissist and vice versa, right? If
yeah,
you do not identify, if you do not take the actions, if you don't actually resonate at that frequency of somebody who is codependent, and again, once you identify with that, you can then start working your way out of it. So it's not a bad thing to say, oh, wait a second, I am the codependent that attracted the narcissist. And most of us grew up with a narcissistic parent or parents with narcissistic qualities and tendencies, right? And again, not to label and diagnose so that we can put them in a box and say they're unlovable, they need to fit over there, because that's also part of the, my life journey. I think I shared like narcissists need love too. They came in this lifetime to experience life in their specific way. And again, they're in service to being that part of the opposite side of the codependent that needs to work through these things, to learn how to establish and communicate boundaries, to be able to actually inner source that confidence and peace and safety, right? And so they become the danger around us, that chaos, right? Forged from Chaos is the title of this. And this is exactly, it kind of brings me back to this moment of, like you see these posts about, diamonds are created in pressure and extreme pressure, right? That chaos that we grew up from, taking the claim and saying, this is my unique path and life happens for me. That is a paradigm shift.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
something that it's on my website. It's part of my brand. It's part of everything that I'm here as well to
It's the
remind
quantum leap we
people.
all need. It's the quantum leap we all need to shift globally.
Yes.
Globally, it's the quantum lead or quantum leap we need to shift into. And as soon as you say, and you do the excavation work, you go back into the inner child. And I've just spent 2 years in deep EMDR therapy. And I told you last week, my therapist, I went to see her and she's like, I think we're done here. Like, you don't need, and she's like, you graduated. And I'm like, I what? Like, you can't get rid of me like that. You no. And she's like, Lori, you're done. You're good. You're good. And how beautiful was that, right? To know. And she said, you did some hard work. Like you did some deep, and going back and excavating that childhood stuff and seeing, okay, what is this calling me for, right? Is this to keep me staying in my victimhood and the poor me shit and that story? Or do I actually have that divinity in me to change that story, to see that I'm already whole, that I'm not broken, right? And we have this whole movement of the wellness thing that everybody's broken and needs to be healed. Or do we just need to shift our awareness to go, we are already whole? And let's
We're
reclaim
whole,
that.
exactly.
Let's reclaim
Yes.
that. And how do we reclaim it, ladies? We make ourselves damn accountable for our own
Mm.
role in other people's suffering as well. Boom.
Ooh,
Not a lot of
yes,
women are
that
going to
is a
like to hear
mic
this.
drop moment. Lori,
Not a
I
lot of
think you
women are
found
going
the
to want to hear
tagline
that,
to
right?
your next speech. This is such an important moment. And again, it's not like I'm being called to come back into community with men and women, and I know you're speaking to women.
Yeah.
And part of that relationship does require us to take accountability. And I have many conversations with strong, powerful men who are leaders, who are really, um, that visionary, that provisionary that they are really being called to be. And they say the hardest thing about women in this generation is they don't take accountability, and that's really challenging.
So we got to own it, ladies.
We have to
Enough's
own
enough.
it.
It's not, and I'm going to say this, like I'm going to say stuff, and there's something about me that I'm either going to inspire you or trigger you, and I'm okay with that.
And both is good. Both are
And
good.
both are a gift, and both are my
Triggers,
gifts. Yeah, both are a
triggers are
gift.
our greatest growth
Yeah,
edge. I want to
that's where
remind
you find the
everyone
gold.
right now,
That's where
before you
you,
turn off the podcast because you're triggered, I want you to just, again, if you're listening to this while you're driving, please pause it and come back to it because this is going to stir up a lot. I can already, from the beginning, I can already tell. And it's a great thing to be triggered. I always tell people, like, oh, you're triggered around me. Yeah, that's going to happen. Like when you choose to work with me, I promise you, you will be triggered.
yeah,
And it's not that I'm
yeah,
intentionally doing something to trigger you. It's that this is the collective change field. This is where we get to choose. This is where
yeah.
things come up in order to be transformed. And like you said, not healed, but really received and taken and appreciated and accepted that, oh, this experience that I had in my childhood or in my past life or ancestrally, it happened in order for me to learn and outgrow the victimhood actually.
And
And
not loop. Stop the looping,
that's right.
right? Stop the
Reclaim the
patterning. Stop the
power.
looping, right? You
Yes.
know, like all of that. And what I'm going to say right now, like I said, I just I went through that relationship, and I'm not kidding you. It brought up, did I know it was unhealthy for me? Yes. Did I people please in the beginning? Yes. Did I abandon her? Yes. To
Hmm.
be love, to be liked, to be accepted, to make things, better for my son as a single mom. And I did all those things. And I found myself caught up into it. And I was like, what is going on? Right. And I'm going back going, I worked in corporate. I did the same thing. I didn't use my voice. I didn't stand up for myself and my truth. I just allowed it. I allowed it. So who's to blame if we're allowing it? And who's to blame if we're enabling poor behavior, not just from men, ladies, but from anyone?
Hmm.
Whether it's from government, whether it's from any sort of system, if you're allowing it and you're being triggered by it, there is something there that you need to bring awareness around that is an unhealed part that needs love, that needs compassion, that needs to be observed.
Hmm.
And when we start to observe our life, and we can look down on our life like it's a movie and seeing all the players and the actors,
Hmm.
and then you start to take ownership for your role,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that's the thing that I'm not seeing in society is we need to have more ownership. We can
Hmm.
continue the blame game forever.
Hmm.
But if I had an unhealed wound of not feeling safe
Hmm.
in chaos,
Hmm.
and I look outside for safety, for someone to come into my life and make me feel safe,
Hmm. Or save
instead
us.
of creating the safety within myself,
Hmm.
right? It starts within. It starts
Hmm.
within. There's no one's coming to save us. And unless we do the work, ladies, and we do the shadow work, not just because I've gone to therapy and my therapist is still running a little bit of a narrative of the narcissistic, but to me, I'm like, and I called the point out the other day and I said, but there has to be ownership on our side too,
Yes.
right? How do you come into sacred union with someone if you're not owning your own shit,
Hmm.
right?
And with
We can't
yourself.
do it. We
Yeah.
can't
How
do
do
it.
you? That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah, can we use an example? Because there's a little bit of confusion here. So I'm just gonna share an example from my workplace, and maybe I'll let you coach me so that people can really see what this looks like in real time, right? Because I think it's really easy to kind of to talk about it as a concept in theory, but in practice, it's I think using an example can maybe help to land the experience and kind of what taking ownership really looks like. So. Uh, there was an experience, and again, I'm one foot in, one foot out because I'm in healthcare transformation on the side of um, getting different organizations to work together to actually address the parts that are kind of in between in the gray space that everyone normally points fingers and says, oh no, that's that person's responsibility. Oh no, it's over there. And it's like, oh, we get together and actually work on the things together to create that system change. And so part of my calling as a physician who left medicine, it was very clear to me that you're in it to change it, right? Like you're not in it to practice in the way that it's done right now. You're in it to change it. And so half of that is actually working, in the system. And then the other half of it is kind of building the system alongside the system of this space where we get to actually recognize that, dis-ease is a choice. Human suffering is a choice. And when we make the decision to do this paradigm shift, Lori, that you are supporting people to see that is possible, going from that victimhood into the empowered human that's here for our human experience and life happens for us, we get to kind of, shift into that. And there's a lot of calls to integrity. There's a lot of, calling leaders forward to be conscious leaders, not to continue the entrapments, which we may or may not be consciously aware of, right? Or just unconsciously following the old patterns, right? And so some old patterns came up in my workplace, and we had kind of an internal meeting with some people, and I said, this feels like, and this might be triggering for some people, and if it is, then I invite you to sit with that. And again, Lori's going to lead us, if you're open to kind of just a different perspective of this, but it felt like things were being expected of our team that were not consensual. And I said, this is corporate rape. And people didn't like that. Some people on my team said, oh, thank you for calling that out, because it's exactly what it feels like. I couldn't put a word to it. And it brings up a lot, and I can feel it right now. And and it's something that we need to address. Because when we take ownership, and that's one of the examples, and that's one of the things that often comes up, and it's also tied to financial blackmail, emotional blackmail, right? It happens so often. Oh, you're lucky to have a job in this world where people are losing their jobs and they're getting fired, and like AI is
Getting
taking
fired and losing
over.
your job is also a gift too. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Exactly. So yes, so let's use that example maybe, and just if you're in a financially difficult situation and you feel like you have to sell yourself out in order to keep your job, and then, it's like you've identified, oh, there's something going on here. Like I'm giving the emotional blackmail piece, especially, and the financial blackmail piece, especially. It's like, okay, how am I actually, what in me is still giving into this dynamic,
And why?
and why? Where
Why?
did it come from? Yeah.
Well, my perspective, just based on my journey, and I was in corporate and I experienced a lot of the same kind of things, that kind of, pressure to conform, to make decisions that maybe weren't best for me or my family. Um, Anything that doesn't feel in alignment, okay? Anything, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're working for a corporation that is putting you in a position that is not feeling alignment, and your body will speak to you and tell you exactly what that is. You'll know in your deep, the soul knows in your deepest being, the soul knows. And we witnessed it during the pandemic. A lot of people weren't afraid. Why? Was it because their faith was so deep? Did they have a deep knowing in the faith, in their body, in the nature? Do you know what I'm saying? But to me, my workplace at the time was, we can use that word again, narcissistic. It
Or
didn't feel
toxic. Yeah.
toxic, whatever. It didn't feel in alignment with who I am, what I believed in. And we start to sell ourselves out
Mhm.
just to be part of the herd,
Mhm.
to be accepted, to
Mhm.
be feel like we're belonging.
Mhm.
That's not belonging.
Mhm.
That is not belonging.
Mhm.
That is going with the narrative of the herd, and everybody's going to have to flex. Everybody's going to have to adjust their sails. And anybody who we are standing deeply rooted in some belief system that might not even be ours, but we're carrying, and we're not willing to adjust our sails, and we're not willing to be flexible, and we're not willing to surrender,
Mhm.
to surrender to the flow, to surrender to the outcome, to go, okay, I'm just going to trust that this is going to work out. And I'm going to believe that these people are going to come to the table with a different kind of perspective, or whatever that looks like, right? You get to decide. I get to
Mhm.
decide if I stayed in that toxic workplace environment.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I was removed without my consent from that workplace, that's a gift, because it just means I'm supposed to be doing something different and not staying there. What gets
Mhm.
removed out of our life isn't always a negative.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes it's a shift to go, okay, you are being called to do something bigger and different. And I felt suppressed in my career. I felt
Mhm.
like I was a woman in a masculine environment, and any ideas I have, they were not um, celebrated. They were actually taken and adopted. Somebody else came up with it, and I was like, "What is going on here?" Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't heard. I wasn't heard in that system,
Or honored or
or
appreciated
honored, or
or yeah.
appreciated, or valued.
Yeah.
Right?
Your words are too strong. They're not
You're too
acceptable here.
much.
You need to mute yourself or silence
Yeah.
yourself or, yeah, kind of professionalize yourself in order to fit in here. And, it's so common, and that's exactly what it is around, relationships. Relationships is anything that we relate with, right? Whether it's our workplace, whether it's, a specific person, whether it's the values and, the impact that the company is trying to have in the world. And maybe all of those are good things, right? Maybe you align with the mission and the vision and the values and everything. And yet inside the workplace, the way with which things are done, it's like, oh, do more work with less pay and, all these expectations that are outside of what you really signed up for. And it's interesting too, because being part of a workplace that has a mission and a vision that you align with is so important.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't mean that we have to give ourselves away to leadership and or, work that is actually misaligned. And so again, it's so easy to say, oh, fuck it, just leave. It's like, okay, but what if you know that you're there to make a difference? And so it's that shift in the middle of like, how do you go from that disempowered place without just saying, I'm going to leave? And you're right. I always say it, rejection is divine redirection, right? Yes, that is
Yeah.
also a thing. And if we're in this place in between where I find myself so often lately, is okay, how is this happening for me? What is this showing me that it is asking of me? And there is a deeper desire for excellence from me, right? There are certain things that are being asked that I'm like, okay, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me to submit a report this week that I can put like barely anything in because I don't have the full details until 2 weeks after this giant meeting that we have with like 40 to 60 executives and VPs and all these decision makers until I circle back around to them to know what the possibilities are to actually put it in this leadership report to be able to forward to the next organization. Like it just doesn't make sense to do things the way that we're being asked to do them. And there are certain check boxes we need to check. And so being able to step back and find the yes and is my sort of divine mission in this lifetime. And I ask, I invite my clients, I invite anyone that's in my sphere to really question, how is this actually, number one, as you say, how is this happening for you?
Yeah.
Because when you take that perspective, it opens up an entire realm of possibilities. And
Yeah.
when you look at it from that place, how can it be a yes and? How can you get your needs met and do the thing that you are actually called to do in integrity with yourself to bring a quality output and impact in the world? Because that's we're all called here to live authentically so that we can make an impact in the world, first and foremost for ourselves when we recognize that self priority is actually a good thing and it serves everyone around us, right? And how are these structures being put in place that they're actually in service to me rather than choosing to go through the typical pattern of selling myself out, right? And if you
Yeah.
can find that yes and go forth. If you cannot, if it's really out of integrity and it's really asking you to sell yourself out, then clearly there it
You
is,
need to
right?
walk.
You
Yeah.
need to walk.
Clearly you need to walk.
Yeah.
Right. And that is to me, when we're speaking of that type of situation, as soon as I understood my worth and my value, and I shifted again, and I went, whoa, I'm got some pretty incredible gifts here. And if
Mhm.
somebody's not valuing my gifts and they're not seeing the value in what I'm bringing to the table,
Mhm.
then I'm not supposed to be here. If
Mhm.
I can't change them to, I can't change the other person to go, behave this way or be
Mhm.
this way or see me this way,
Mhm.
right? What I seek seeks me.
Mhm.
And so for me, I was like, I need to have my own business. I'm going to leave this system because this system is unhealthy for me. I was in the financial banking system and
Mhm.
I saw the greed. I was like, this is insane. Like people are fighting over $100, salespeople on transactions. And I was like, why does this feel so yucky? Because it is
Mhm.
yucky,
Mhm.
right? We are all worthy of abundance and everybody is. Transactionally, we're all worthy of abundance. We're all worthy of everything. And the belief systems that we carry, especially as women, that we're too big or we're too loud or we're not worthy or we have to hustle and grind. Hey, I'm going to tell you another mic drop, okay? That's not who we were meant to be, is hustle and grind. So I'm calling out
Mhm.
the whole boss babe theme here too. The
And
feminine is not hustle, grind. We are just to receive and be. And
Mhm.
once we understand our worth, once we understand our divinity, and once we go, I am worthy of receiving cooperation, I am worthy of receiving abundance, I am worthy of receiving everything life has to offer me. I got the goosers right now, sorry.
yeah. I call them the truth chills. I love it
Blue
when they come
chills.
through. We're
But that
paradigm
is
shifting.
when we shift our reality and we're not living in lack and scarcity and we're not living in, okay, why are we keep crashing against something? And it's the power versus the force, right? The power versus the force. If something keeps busting and smashing and it's at work and it's like, I can't get through that.
Mhm.
Maybe you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not supposed to figure it out. Maybe
And
you're
it's
just
not
supposed
in
to.
this method, it's not in this way of being, right? And that's the most beautiful part. So I talk also a lot of, again, frequency and the energetic sinkholes. One thing, the other is the divine masculine and feminine energies, not genders, not sexual identity,
No.
not what do you enjoy in the bedroom, has nothing to do with that. It is the energy with which we move through life. So there's the
Yes.
doing energy, the masculine doing, structure, logic, reason, knowledge. And then there's the feminine, the being, the flow, the unknown, the creativity, the nurturance, that juiciness that just comes through, that mother nature that nurtures our soul. And so we are both. We are a divine union. And oftentimes, because of the way that our systems are set up in the world that we live in currently right now, and it is shifting, and I'm so excited that it's shifting,
Yeah.
the feminine is rising, and that feminine rising is having a really interesting impact because we've shifted so much into this boss babe, this like, I'm going to work hard, play hard. And it's like we're so competitive with the men in our world. And, like we just want to prove ourselves that we don't need
Oh,
anyone and all the, so working hard is a beautiful thing. And we're actually meant to work aligned, right? And being
yeah.
a woman, right?
Thank you,
There's this
creation.
whole
Yeah.
shift towards this soft girl era. And it's not about doing nothing, but
It's about being.
and it's about taking action from that place within, that soul aligned, coming from our being that is inspired in spirit, right? Inspired from within to take, as I lead people, inspired, surrendered, aligned action. You're not gripping onto some outcome and like super forceful with
Not
it. And
clinging to the outcome. You're
we're
not
letting it
clinging to the
go.
outcome.
We're
Yeah.
surrendering, right? It's like
Yeah.
full trust. Spirit moves through us and we're able to, again, co create. right? That is the energy with which we're meant to show up. And that is the divine union. And we talk about that as well. Vulnerability and authenticity are divine union partners. The masculine and the feminine are divine union partners, the doing and the being. You can't be human without your human doing, and you're not you without your human being.
Yeah. And we're seeing, it's fascinating. And like you just said, 2 seconds ago, this is the greatest time to be alive. And if, yeah, it's a lot of unknown and the world seems a lot real crazy. And, there's this beautiful shift and we're coming back into balance of who we were supposed to be before all the shit happened to us, before the trauma, before the belief system, before all the things that were put onto us. That's not who we are. And
Happened
when you can
for us,
tap, yeah,
right?
and when you tap in and you know this and you know
Mhm.
it and you go, I trust this so deeply, right? And you can see it. It's happening everywhere. It's happening on how we're looking after our planet, how we're shifting and we're like going, no, this is like not happening. Things are changing. And I'm watching my previous corporate world and I'm like going, how's that working for you guys? Because all of those systems that were created to suppress and oppress or whatever, that heaviness, it's all falling apart.
Mhm.
And some people are terrified because it's falling apart, but you can't build new if you don't, that's the feminine too. The feminine can destroy and she can create, right? Those systems need to fall apart before we can build new systems that are in alignment with who we truly are, the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, not the religion, the consciousness of, let's talk about who Jesus and Mary were, right? We can go into that divine union of Jesus and Mary, right? Not the religion piece, but, he stood up and used his voice, right? She was probably the 13th disciple right alongside him and who had his ear, right? So when we can understand from a relationship perspective, whether it's in business, corporate, or personal relationships, there is no longer that patriarchy that's necessary, because as soon as the masculine and the feminine can bring balance and understand, okay, the woman was not meant to be controlled and sit at the back of the we're here and don't say nothing and be small. Wow. You know what? Can we not maybe look at a different perspective to go, maybe that's all been by design?
Mhm.
Maybe it's all been by design.
Yeah.
Right? And when you can show up in your feminine and you also can balance in the masculine when you need to be the doer and you need to be, when you bring that into union within, not even without, but within, all of that outer world is going to change.
Mhm.
Right? So what is created within, what the safety created within for women, create that safety within yourself and you will attract it.
Mhm.
Right?
It's
Create
powerful,
all the
Beth.
things that you needed as a child.
Mhm.
Be the parent that you needed as a child.
Mhm.
Become it, embody it, and you
Mhm.
will attract it.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's, saying it is one thing, and people go through years and years and years and years of therapy and still never get there. And I just want to say that this work is there's a new kind of leading edge to this work. It's somatic work, right? It can happen in one session. I do this work with my clients. We go back and the body keeps the score is a book that was written, and it's
Yep.
I haven't read it all. A lot of people that I talk to and that I share what comes through, they keep asking, have you read this book? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. Me and my ADHD keep me from reading, and also my creative side, right? Like there's a lot that moves through me that I have to honor, that if I read someone else's writing in that's already here, that kind of puts limits and boundaries on what comes through, because it's accepted it as fact. And so my brain works in a more open kind of whatever streams through. And then, we find the science and the evidence behind it. But somatic work, our body holds the energy from our ancestors. It holds the energy, our genes, right, in our human bodies. So there's two aspects. There's the soul, and then there's the genetics that are here with us. And so our soul has past lives, if you believe in that, and past experiences that we carry energetically. And then there's our DNA and our human form and our physical body, which we inherit from our ancestors. And so energetically and genetically, we have this capacity to actually turn on and off our genes. That is epigenetics. It's science, it's studied. And then our body is such a receptive field of energy. And so when we tap into where that feeling or sensation sits in our body, where is that element of chaos or tightness or constriction or just that unease in our system? And when we hold space for it and we open up that safe space, and again, this happens so much more easily with somebody who can hold that energy and that clarity and that unconditional love for you to just surrender and open into it. And so that's why a lot of people try to do somatic work on their own. And I'm actually challenged right now with creating a course that helps people to go into the somatic on their own while holding the field, and actually
Yeah.
recording and putting it into a space that can carry that frequency, because it's such an intuitive piece of the work where it's a co-creation, right? It's an interaction, and it happens so beautifully together in the space. And I do believe that people can do it on their own. And part of the calling is actually to create a course where healthcare providers, everyone that's actually in the healing space, can recognize that they take on their patient's energy every single day, and they go to
Oh
bed
yeah.
with it at night and they don't work it, and then they go back to work, and it's like no wonder everybody's burnt out, because no one's doing the work actually. No one's
No.
transforming and alchemizing that energy. And it is within all of our capacity to do it. So every time you have, a meeting with your counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, whoever it is, your doctor, your nurse, whoever it is that is in the healing space and holding that space for you, what is being asked of you is to open up to that vulnerability. And when we do, the truth comes through, right? Christ consciousness is just the truth. It's really simple, actually, right? And
Very
when we talk
simple.
and when we talk about creating balance, right? It's really that harmony, and it's coming through to just share, like, balance is not about 50-50. It's not, it's kind of when we talk about equality versus equity, right? Somebody who is in a wheelchair can't see over the fence. If you put two bricks under them like the kid, they need 5 or 10 bricks. That is equity versus equality. We're not going for 50-50 here, right? Sometimes the matriarch is
No,
really good
flow.
at one
It's the
thing.
flow. There's no
It's the
hard line.
flow.
It's the flow of
That's
the back
right.
and forth movement because we're static, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I wear the infinity sign to remind me. An elder that opened up the space for us for one of our sessions said, "Hey, are you Métis?" I said, "No, but this has just called me my whole life, is that
And I love
harmony
the
to
ankh.
remember." Yeah, to remember the flow and the harmony of life, right? The masculine, the feminine, the doing, the being, the giving, the receiving. And again, so many women are trapped in the giving, 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 overdoing.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
where's the receiving? And then it's like, no wonder you're burnt out and exhausted. You're doing it, number one, all alone. Number two, where's the receivership? And it is a very recent shift in portal for so many people to stop self-abandoning and start to actually recognize the greatest gift you can give humanity is to allow yourself to receive,
Yeah.
because then people serve their purpose in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah. When I actually finally left my relationship, because obviously I received the lessons, I received the messaging that I was meant to receive from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it wasn't in alignment from day one, but I stayed in it because obviously I needed to learn more. I needed to learn more how even codependency is a control piece for
Mm-hmm.
women,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. It's
Oh,
a
well,
it's a big manipulation tactic.
oh my
100%.
gosh. That's the own your shit part, right? Going, oh my gosh, why am I allowing this to happen? What am I allowing to happen? What behaviors am I allowing? And it was like, you need to change. You need to stop treating me this way. You need to stop treating me this way. And it was like one day a light bulb freaking went off in my head and I went, oh my gosh, it starts within. Nothing's going to change until I change, until I say, I am worthy to be treated with respect. I am worthy And what was happening, it was I was like mirroring back the disrespect. It became this, okay, you're disrespecting me. And all of a sudden the little, I call her Lilith, came out in me, and I was like, no more. Like no more. And this girl just came out. I didn't even know who it was, came out of me. And I'm like, it ends with us. Have you watched that movie? It's beautiful.
No.
It ends with us, and it's what we're allowing, men and women. I'm not just going to say women, but what are you allowing to happen in your life, and why are you allowing it? And also, it's a comfort, it's a control piece on our part, right? You can control the narrative if you're allowing it, and then I want you to change, you change, you change, you change. And I looking in the mirror going, Lori, you know what? Where are you needing healthier boundaries in your life? Where are you needing to look at your attachment style? Why do you have that attachment style? What do you need to let go? Where do you need to surrender in your life? And I'm telling you, as soon as I did that, during this process, I started a beautiful business called Merkaba Health Collective to bring holistic practitioners onto one platform. Do you think I could get that off the ground? My nervous system, based on my current relationship that I was in, would not allow me to create. It wouldn't allow me to earn money. It wouldn't allow me, because my nervous system was constant chaos. And you can't bring the abundance and call in the abundance and the creativity if you're living in that frequency in your home. You can't. It just wasn't possible. And let me tell you, I put 2 years of my life into this business and going, why can't I get this off the ground? But there was chaos in my home all the time. And I'm like, it's just so discombobulated everything is. And until I said, no more, I am going to be the one that saves me. I am going to be the one that creates safety within me. And women need to know this. Create the safety within you first. And if you're not feeling safe in any environment, men or women, it's up to you to change that. You have the same power. Reclaim it. And I wasn't being respected because I wasn't respecting myself.
That's right. Life is a
Boom.
mirror. Even exactly. So again, reclaiming that claiming the codependent part that we're playing, right? If we think about, not necessarily an identity, because that's so permanent and for a lot of people, but claiming the part that we're playing in that relational field and what we're attracting and what we're giving permission to. It's like those micro changes result in a new identity, right? People talk about identity shifts being this big thing, and you have to go through this ego death. And yes, I also hold space for that for people to go through. And it's the teeny tiny changes. It's those moments where you make a decision. Wait a second. As soon as that awareness drops, it's like, oh, I'm selling myself out here. Oh, it starts with me.
Yes.
And it's like that
And I'm
one
enabling. I'm
moment.
enabling. And that when you enable somebody, you take their power away. You also take their power away to step into who they truly are, right? So and again, I'm just speaking for women because that's my experience as a woman in relationship, in a toxic relationship. I had to look really hard, and it wasn't pretty to see my role in it as either. It wasn't pretty to see, and it also wasn't pretty to see. And there had to become a moment where I had to really give myself a lot of compassion and forgiveness to go, Lori, you self-abandoned so much. You self-abandoned right from day one. Your body knew this was not safe. Your body knew this wasn't healthy for you or your child. And I still went towards it. And I'm like, I look at safety completely differently now. I look at relationship completely differently now. And I observe things now that I didn't observe before within myself and with interactions. And some people come into your life, and I want to say this to the ladies out there who've experienced, and men who've experienced toxic relationships. Let me tell you, as soon as you start to see that they are an actual true gift for you, they are a gift that the divine is giving to you to say, I'm going to give this to you again because you need to learn more. You need to see the mirror, what it's mirroring back for you. What is it mirroring back for you? To learn, to grow, to expand, to maybe you need some more healthy boundaries. Maybe your childhood wounding is still presenting in that relationship. And so for me, my ex, I have so much gratitude for him. Granted, we're in court proceedings, but I have so much gratitude because he was showing me my unhealed parts. And when you see that, I also saw his wounded child. And
Yeah.
until we can see ourselves in one another and those wounded parts and those triggers and the gold, it's all there. But when we stop the blame game, we stop the victimhood, and we can go, this just happened for me. And wow, how grateful am I? Right? How grateful am I that that person's soul showed up to get me to the next level? And we're doing that every day, all day long with each other.
To
I
help
had
me
a
to
very,
see.
I had a very, very, a friend of mine, he's a very prominent, um, very, he's a ex-hockey player. And he said to me, and he's a very outspoken and very popular presence in this movement of awakening. And he once said to me, nobody can heal like I heal other people like I can. And I'm like, no, we are actually all doing it. We're all doing it. Every interaction you have with somebody is an opportunity for us to bring awareness around our own healing, around our own wounded parts. I don't care if it's a political division or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Division is created by design because it takes our power away when we're divided.
Oh. Yeah. And when we play the blame game, oh, it's someone
Yeah.
else
And
over
when we look at the other
theirs.
side, yes, I
Yeah.
nail it down to this, Berlitza, is this, there is no this side or this side. Yes, there is. And you'll see behind me something that's beautiful. On my journey is a picture of this paint horse. And the paint horse reminds me that I am that dark and that light, and the world has that dark and that light. And it's not a
Mm.
person, it's a frequency of the dark and the light. It's that frequency, and it was created. It was
Mm.
created. The dark and the light was created. It's
Mhm.
giving us the choice
Mhm.
to be divided or to be unified. And we get to choose what that looks like. And it's
Yeah.
not always going to work. And that relationship might not always work. And there might be things that you go, that's a hard no. I can't go back into that because that's a hard no, right? That's a character thing that I just don't want to align with. But
Mhm.
we're given the choice every single day to be the
Yeah.
light or to be the dark.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not about this political side or that political side because they all believe what they believe. It's not about, that person chooses that medical procedure and this person chooses that one. It's about it's about when we can become to respect, okay, I respect that that's what you believed in at the time, and that's okay. When we can see each other's wounding, our inner child, and if we could walk around with a little picture of our little child and the event I'm wanting to do that's been calling on my heart for a number of years, I'm like, everybody's got to bring a picture of their little girl or their little boy, and we got to wear it around our neck because
Mm.
when we can look at each other as children and we can see we're not born into this world mean. Puppies
Mhm.
aren't born mean dogs. Babies aren't born mean. Okay. It's the environment that creates that, right? Creates whatever
Mhm.
that's going to unfold. But everybody is playing a role, whether they're evil or they're good. Everybody's playing a role
Yeah.
for our
Yeah. And
highest
and
good.
we play both. Yeah, and we play both roles
We,
at
we
times,
also
right?
play
Like,
both, right?
yeah, we
We
play both.
also play
We
both.
Yeah, yeah. And again, that's a gift because it's a reflection, right? And it's an opportunity to take that responsibility. So I just
Yeah.
want to hold space. I've been kind of deep breathing. There's been a lot of energy that's moving. I want to hold space for anybody who is feeling triggered or is feeling energy moving through their body and their system right now. And this can be it's a very energetic conversation. There's a lot that we've shifted actually, if you've listened so far and to this whole conversation and you've joined us on this journey and experience. I just want to hold space for you to slow down and just put hand on heart and on your belly, on your womb. And if you're a gentleman without a womb, just on your belly, and just a little bit lower in that gonadal sort of area, not on your actual gonads, but just in your belly, down low in your root space, and just really hold that space for wherever wants some more energy and some more love. A lot of people feel it in their solar plexus right now, a lot of energy moving, and just allowing that space and that safety to be in your body and to allow whatever tightness, whatever constriction, whatever energy wants to move through and to just show you, tell you if there's wisdom, if there's a past life experience. Again, somatic work needs to be held if you've had big T trauma by a licensed professional. But just reminding yourself that it is actually safe to be in your body and knowing that your experiences are here to help you grow as a human in this lifetime. You have chosen a path and it doesn't make the experiences that have happened okay. It doesn't give permission. It doesn't mean you should stay. It doesn't mean you should allow moments that are dangerous and harmful. It does not say that it's okay. Absolutely not. It does hold space for you to be in your body. This is your vessel. It is your safety and it is your sovereignty and it is your right to say no. And it is your right to choose how this body will hold your energy and how your soul will move through this lifetime in this vessel that you've been given. And it is such a beautiful gift. And we're being called back into our vessel to reclaim this
Mm,
beautiful gift that we've been given, to reclaim and to really take power over our life, our experience, our journey, to say yes to the things that make us feel light and alive and inspired and on purpose, on our divine, unique, authentic journey that serves first and foremost us so that we can fill ourselves and overflow into others. We did not come here alone. We came through the sacred womb of our mother, no matter how dangerous and toxic and narcissistic she may have been to us. That is also such a gift to cultivate that
mhm.
unconditional love within us. And or if you have another parent, a mother, father, other figure in your life that has inflicted some kind of pain or harm, I invite you today to reclaim the parts of yourselves that were lost in those experiences so that you can come back home to yourself and be whole and choose to move forward in this lifetime with your sovereignty, with your choice, with your voice, with your authenticity and your vulnerability being safe in your system. To be able to leave, to be able to say no, to be able to walk away from that which does not serve you.
Yes.
Lori, please feel free to share whatever's coming through you.
I just really feel that I want to let your audience know um, that as soon as you shift from the narrative of a victim and we are not what happened to us. We're not, that's not who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has that ember in their belly, in their body. We all have it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you can shift out of that victim mentality, yes, many of those things were wrong, but they happened for us, not to us. And maybe they happened for us so that we can create change, create a new paradigm of becoming who we were always meant to be underneath it all. Because once you step into committing to the within work and you excavate, and it's fascinating. It's like digging in a big sandbox and you excavate those parts and those events and there's a miracle that happens and it's truly a miracle. And you can go, oh my gosh, this was all connected. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Mm,
And what is it calling me to bring forth to humanity? We're
mm,
here to create. What is it calling me to bring forth? How can create positive change in this world? Well,
mm,
we can only do that when we become it within
mm,
and stop seeking outside of ourselves for government or systems or boyfriends or girlfriends to save us because no one's coming to save us.
mm,
We
mm,
carry everything we need. We were given this when we came here, all of the wisdom, all of the magic, let's call it magic, that we need to become who we were meant to be. And it's a
mm.
remembrance. It's truly a remembrance.
Yeah. It's so funny when you were talking. What was coming through was like, remember, remember, ember, ember. And then ember turned into the vision of you can't have an ember unless the fire burns,
Yeah.
right? And it turns from this beautiful log that Mother Nature gave us into the super hot embers that hold that gift of
Yeah.
our transformation, that
And they're there.
journey.
Everybody has them. Everybody has them, but we have to we have to change our belief systems and let them go because a lot of them weren't ours. The vision
Mhm.
is it's all created by design, so it takes our power away. It divides
Mm,
us. But when we
mm,
can look at each other and we can see our wounded parts or we can see our partner's wounded parts and we can have empathy and go, okay, I see you. I see those parts and I understand your behavior. Doesn't mean you have to accept it or allow it or enable it. But if you can see them and go, okay,
mhm,
you know what? This is good, or those parts I like, or I can stay in this relationship, or, you know, there's something different for me, a different experience. But we have to start seeing each other
mhm,
like we would look at a small child,
mhm,
right? Who doesn't love little kids? Come on,
mhm.
right? That
Yeah.
innocence, that wonder, that magic. And we all had that,
Mhm.
right? But it's the belief systems and the experiences that have or the chaos that we've
Mhm.
experienced that forges us. But we get to choose how we want to be forged. We get to choose if we can either look through life through shit colored glasses or rose colored glasses. We
Mm,
get to choose.
I love that.
And when you start to see life is actually happening for you and not to you, everything starts to make sense. Flow starts to happen. Abundance started to come in. I had incredible abundance land in my life a couple months ago when I decided to choose myself and choose me and stop people pleasing and get out of a toxic environment and go, no, I have to look after her first before I can
Yeah.
start looking after everybody else and giving. I have to receive. And who's going to give that to me? I have to give it to myself. The
Yes.
abundance started to flow in my life like you wouldn't believe because I started to become in alignment with who I'm supposed to be now.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That is so, so powerful, so beautiful. And that is the gift. If anybody didn't catch that, rewind a few minutes. That is another mic drop moment, Lori. I'm so excited for you to get on stages and share these transformational moments, these activations. It's interesting because I post a lot of emojis. I love emojis. There's the little light, like the little sparkle emoji, and then the flame. And it's like we need sometimes that spark, that trigger, that moment to light the flame. And then the transformation happens. And then we're this phoenix coming out of the fire. We're reborn into this new identity. And it starts with a choice. So, Lori, I just want to thank you so, so much for bringing us into this space, this portal of transformation. It is exactly what this has been. I thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey. And I feel like there needs to be a part two to this conversation because there is
I'm
so, so
so
much, so
We could
much
do
that's come
weekly.
through.
We could do weekly if you want.
So many possibilities. I would love to continue connecting. We're actually starting a space. It's called Unintentionally Divine with some other ladies to really just be in that portal of co-creation and sharing. transparently and vulnerably what's moving through us all so that we can actually have that sort of community space. And so that's in forging right now. But I wanted to share something that came through as you were sharing earlier. Kind of my own personal experience of being in those kind of codependent narcissistic dynamics and recognizing actually the gift and the compassion, because my partner, who I identified maybe in the past or even by their actions or whatever as the narcissist in the dynamic, honestly, the truest gift that I've ever been able to give humanity is that space of unconditional love. And like you just guided us to actually see the inner child, that's always been so clear to me. And anyone you sit in front of me, I can love them. I can love them to their souls. Like, I see the God in people. And I think that's the greatest gift for the person who is a codependent. Instead of feeling, like when we take responsibility, we tend to take responsibility with a little bit of shame, with a little bit of guilt, with a little bit of, like all those energetic frequency, the I call it the energetic sinkhole. We can let go of all that shame and blame and guilt and really claim what a beautiful gift that we have been to others, being able to love them unconditionally, being able to put ourselves second in order to love them, because that is also what they were missing. That's how they became the narcissists in the first place. Many people who have these narcissistic patterns and tendencies and these qualities is because they came from chaos themselves. And the only way to be able to live and survive what they've been through is to become that which they enact, that power, that role dynamic, that control, that sort of, and again, unhealthy, yes. And many people have shifted out of those patterns in that space of unconditional love. And it's when we actually place the boundary. My experience of people who have narcissistic tendency is when we're able to actually step in our power, it shifts them and they're like, yes, they love that.
I just
That's
want to
my
add something to that too,
yeah.
Relitza, that just popped up to me is that any one of us who is running that labeling narrative,
Mhm.
I want to challenge you to understand the behavior and the energy and the frequency of the word narcissist, because it's like, again, it's a labeling, but it's also a frequency. And look into what the core energies around that are, and then ask yourself this beautiful question: have I ever carried the same frequency?
Mhm.
Right? I'm going to say a lot of us have.
Absolutely.
So that's the shadow work. We have to continuously be going, okay, if I'm throwing that down, is it not mirroring back parts of my life where I've been in that same behavior? We are all contributing to each other's suffering at some point. I contributed to my ex's suffering. He contributes to mine. Acknowledging that's the human experience. It is what it is. But to also have compassion to go, everybody is just walking each other home, and
Mhm.
look around, because we all have got some wounding. No one's perfect. And when we can start to see each other as our little kids, the little, you see little kids and you're like, oh my God, they're so great. They're so cute. Look at them. They're just like, right?
Yeah.
But we become so judgmental as adults because our conditioning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we
And
have
our
to solve.
experiences,
Yeah.
yeah, and our
Yeah.
anger and our yeah, absolutely.
Belief
I love
systems,
that.
that the experiences, things we believe to be true, are they really true? Are they someone else's that attach to us? Or like who you truly are, what does that look like, right? And until you learn who you are, I don't know. I think it's so funny when I said to you about when I started Merkaba Health Collective a number of years ago.
Mhm.
On the main page of the website was, it starts within.
Mm.
And at the time, and I shared this with you the other day, is that I thought I was going to save people and help people, and I'm going to connect people, and only to know and find out that it was actually for me. It was for
Mhm.
me to come into the Merkaba, which is the light body spirit.
Mm.
It was for me. But
Wow.
Lori, you know, going to save everybody, and the people pleaser thought I was creating it for everyone else, and I was actually creating it for me.
And thank God for the codependence on the planet because we wouldn't have a healthcare system without codependence. Let's be honest. Like, as I found out about codependency, I was like, oh my God, every single person in healthcare that I know has this tendency to put others first, right? And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, and how can we move from that space of giving ourselves away and abandoning ourselves to actually reclaiming ourselves and still being here to love others as well?
And in that process, we have to give being that codependent, because I've experienced that codependency.
Mhm.
We're taking away others people's power for their own sovereignty,
Yep.
right? Especially like let's look at healthcare, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's running to the doctor to save them. Well, I see it all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, where are you taking ownership for your own health? Where are
That's
you
right.
creating the right environment for your body to be healthy?
Yeah.
Right? We see it all the time. And then like, oh, I can't understand why I have this. Well, taking ownership, being
Yep.
accountable for your own health, being accountable for your own mental health, being accountable in relationship, being accountable at work,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely. There's so much I could say about this. I think this will be the leeway into episode 2 for another day
Let's do
because
it.
there's so much that's moving through. Yes,
We're
activate the
probably out of
healer
time as well,
within.
I'm sure.
I love it. It's one of the big movements. I love Merkaba. I have a feeling it will be actually a vessel, and maybe in the future, maybe a co-creation. We've talked about Up to Health Global being a calling that is exactly what Merkaba, the intention is the same, right? To activate the healer within. And I do really feel a strong resonance to co-create with you. I think our flow is so beautiful. And so I'm just going to put that out there. But I thank you, Lori, so, so much for saying yes, for connecting. I think it was through a shared partner in this space, another spirit sister.
Yeah.
We are actually hosting the Lotus Retreat. I'm going to drop this here because it's a safe space and I know we're in this co-creative sort of community together. The Lotus Retreat is happening on August 16th to 18th, and then again the 21st to the 23rd for anybody who feels called to come to British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia. It's in Squamish Nation territory on Sunshine Coast in Gibsons, and I am so grateful to be able to, it's my family space. I don't own anything. I feel myself as a guest on these lands. I've been invited as a guest by some elders. I'm a visitor, an uninvited visitor. And I'm so grateful to actually be able to transform the space from a dwelling where one family sits to actually invite healing to happen on these lands and these territories. And again, it's not mine. I don't feel that way, but I do feel very called to hold space there. And so I'm very, very excited. Melissa Crawford, who's also a physician, who left medicine to do this spiritual healing work, who actually is the one that connected us both, is also going to be co-hosting and co-facilitating in this space. And so anybody who feels called, who really needs to, feels that you can transform better in community and being held in that space, we're going to do the core wound healing. We're going to do somatic work. We're going to do morning activations. We're going to go down into the ocean. I can really feel and see that there's this sort of like death and rebirth happening of these old tendencies and wounds and victimhood, and really stepping into that new identity, where we're in our power, where we're in our fullest capacity. And so anybody who feels called, there are still spots open for both of those dates. There's a weekend and a weekday, 3-day, 2-night. We're camping on the grounds. There is also glamping for 3 people per session. So there's only 3 spots. So if you want to glamp and you still want to be in transformation, let me know. You can email info@authenticitymd.com or sign up on the website, www.authenticitymd.com. It's called the Lotus Retreat, and it is going to go fast because there's only 11 people per session. So we have maxed it so that we can really hold that safe container for transformation. And I'm just so excited. Lori, I hope you can come out some way, shape, or form. I feel like you are definitely called to be, at least I feel that really strong invitation, that resonance of like, oh, we're supposed to do this in sisterhood, the 3 of us. I always believe like
I'm
amazing
that
things happen
already.
in
I was
threes.
just before you said that. I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested in co-creating with that.
I would love
100%
that.
feels
I
like
would
a,
love
yeah. So
that.
let's talk further on that.
Let's create, yeah, let's connect with Melissa and really feel into that is so beautiful. Lori, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for reaching out to connect, for sharing your journey. This is a powerful, powerful space. I know there's a lot more of vulnerability that wants to come through, and I think next time we can, go a little deeper in stories and just, really holding that space for those who feel in resonance with hearing and really being able to be in your own vulnerability and your own experience so that we can uproot some of these, dust bunnies that are hiding in the shadows and the corners, trying to pretend still to hold on to that victimhood and really transform that into our greatest power. Thank you so, so much. If there's one thing that you want to leave the audience with, Lori, what is that?
It starts within, and
Mm,
our thoughts are creating our reality. So as soon as we change our thoughts, we can change our reality.
thank you. Such a gift. Thank you so much, Lori. You have imparted so much wisdom, so much value, so much power in our time together. Thank you.
Keep dropping the mic, okay?
Mic
We'll
drop,
just
mic
keep
drop.
dropping the mic.
Your soul's
Awesome, girl.
mission. Your mic
Awesome,
drop
girl.
moment.
Okay.